Welcome to Master Builder's online tutorial classes. Now, in this tutorial class today, we are going to continue from where we stopped. So don't forget that this is a continuation class. So if you are new in this YouTube channel, do consider subscribing to this YouTube channel, and also don't forget to turn on the post notification button so that anytime we release my great content, guys, you will be notified. Don't forget, we have a policy that we work with anytime we are here before you and teaching you guys. Now, what is this policy? One of the policy is that you must ensure that you do not skip any part of this video as far as this online class is concerned. And also, if you do not understand any aspect of this video, you can pause, replay the video over and over again till you see the finally. Don't forget to avoid every unnecessary distraction that can possibly take your focus out of this course. Now, guys, before now, we have been looking at algebraic simplification or algebraic expression, or generally called algebraic process, right? Now, under this topic, we have looked at simplification of group terms. We have also looked at simplification of group terms with brackets. We have looked at expansion of brackets. We have looked at also factorization of group terms. Now, factorization of quadratic expression. Guys, what are quadratic expressions? Now, quadratic expressions are expressions that are expressed or in the form ax² plus bx plus c. Now, where a, b, and c are integers. Where a, b, and c are integers. So, for instance, I can have this as 2x² plus 6x plus 9. So this is an example of quadratic expression. Now, where the power of x, or the highest power of x, is 2, and that the power of x is neither negative nor a fraction. Yes, so the power of x, the highest power of x, is neither negative nor a fraction. So every quadratic expression is given by this notation. So where a is the coefficient of the highest power of x, then b is the coefficient of the middle power of x, and c is the constant, which is the term without x. Guys, how do we factorize quadratic expression? This is very, very important. I remember when we were looking at factorization of group terms, I told you that the numbers or the terms you are to be given must be in even numbers. So it's either you are given 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, not 3, not odd numbers. Now, of course, quadratic expressions are odd numbers. So before you can convert, you can factorize quadratic expression, guys, you need to first of all convert or express this quadratic expression to appear in 4 terms. Yes, you need to first of all see how you can simplify this quadratic expression to appear in 4 different terms. It is only on this ground that you can factorize, because I told us yesterday in our previous lessons that you need to consider the first 2 and the last 2. So in this case, if we consider the first 2, we have no second term to add to this constant, and this is the reason why we need to simplify this further to make it appear in 4 different places, so that we can group the first 2 and also group the last 2, and understand that in grouping the first 2 and the last 2, something must be common between the first 2 terms and also between the last 2 terms. So if this is understood, therefore we can start solving problems. And don't forget, here we are not collecting like terms. There is no equality sign, there is no equal to, so therefore no negative sign will change to positive, and no positive sign will change to negative when you are doing general arrangement. But understand that under multiplication, when you multiply minus negative sign by positive sign, understand that the sign will change. The same way, when you divide positive sign by negative sign, or negative sign by positive sign, also the sign which is, to understand that sign changes only when you multiply 2 different signs, or when you divide 2 different signs. Are you there? So this is where signs changes in this aspect of this simplification or expression analysis. Now, let's get started. On the board, we are asked to factorize the following expression. Of course, like I explained before, this is a continuation class. So this happens to be question 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35. So we have 5 questions here that we are going to be looking at. And now, this 5 question is categorized under the first aspect of quadratic expression, where the coefficient of the highest power of x is 1. So in this problem we are going to be looking at here, the coefficient of x squared is 1. And this is the aspect we are going to. Then in another aspect we are going to look at a case where the coefficient of x squared is more than 1. Now guys, understand that it must not necessarily be s. It can be any of the alphabetical letters. Alright, it can be a, it can be b, it can be m, it can be p, just as we have it here now. So you discover that the 5 questions we have there, we have different alphabetical letters, but understand that the variables that we have there, all the alphabetical letters that are present here, one of them must carry a power of 2, not negative and not also a fraction. Now guys, let's look at the very first question that we have on the board. Now question number 1, we have 31. We have x squared plus 9x plus 14. Like I explained, that the coefficient of x squared is 1. That shows that a is 1, b is 9, and c is 14. So guys, how do we factorize this? The first thing we do to be able to factorize this expression is to multiply the highest power of x by the constant. So when we multiply this guy by this guy, guys, we are going to have 14s squared plus 14s squared. Yes, we are going to have plus 14s squared. S squared multiplied by 14, we are going to have plus 14s squared. The next thing we are quickly going to do is to look for 2 factors of 14. Positive 14, yes. We are going to be looking for 2 factors of 14 such that the sum of the 2 factors will give us the middle number. To get that done, all we simply need to do here is to come and say, okay, if this is 14x squared, they have a division. These are the 2 factors. Now remember that 14 times 1 is 14. These are the first 2 factors of 14. Then also 7 times 2 is 14. Then we also have minus 14 times minus 1 is also positive 14. Then finally minus 7 times minus 2 will also give us positive 14. Now these are the possible factors of plus 14. So we'll be looking for the one whose sum will give us plus 9. Understand that this is plus 9. So when we come here, all we need to do is to add 14 plus 1, and this will give us 15. Then when I add these guys, we are going to have 9. When we add this, we are going to have minus 15. And when we add this, we are going to have minus 7. Alright guys? So this will have given us 14 plus 1, 15. 7 plus 2, 9. Minus 14 plus minus 1, minus 15. Then minus 7 plus minus 2 would have given us minus 9 also. Would have given us minus 9. Guys, if this is understood, all you just need to do now is to check this outcome. Which one gives us the middle number? It is this 10. So it shows that this is 7x and this is 2x. Now that we have been able to get that, guys, get it clear? It is not that these factors are wrong, no. But for this question, what controls or what determines the one we have to go with is the middle term. So since the middle term is plus 9, we are going with this. If the middle term is plus 15, we will go with 14 and 1. If the middle term is minus 9, we will go with this. Then if the middle term is minus 15, we will go with it. But because of the fact that the middle term for this particular question we are solving now is 9, therefore we will go with what? Plus 7x and plus 2x. So here, we will come here now and have x squared plus, we will now replace 9x by 7x plus 2x, then plus 14. Guys, you know that when you add 7 plus 2, we will definitely have 9x back. Are you there? Now, at this point, all you need to do is to consider between these 2 first terms and also consider between these 2 last terms and see what is common. Guys, between the first 2 terms, what is common there is x. So I will put down my x, then open the bracket. Now, if x squared is divided by x, I will have x, then plus. If 7x is divided by x will cancel x, I will be left with 7. Then finally plus, When I come here, between 2x and 14, 2 is a factor of 14. That means 14 is divisible by 2, and 2 can divide itself to give us 1. X is here, but x is not here. That means the only thing that is common between these two terms is 2. Therefore, we will pull down 2, open a bracket. Now, 2x divided by 2, you are going to have x, plus 14 divided by 2, you are going to have 7. This is it. Then the next thing we quickly do is to take the multiplication factors, add them together to form one bracket, then pick one of the equal brackets. Like I explained in our previous class, I made it clear to you that the bracket must have equal values. Both must be positive, both will either be negative, depending on what you have. So if the first bracket is x plus 7, expect the second bracket to also be x plus 7. But if you have another result here, that means you are wrong. One of the conditions to know that you are very, very much correct is that what you have in the first bracket is the same as what you have in the second bracket. And finally, what we do is this is the first multiplication factor. We have the first multiplication factor as x. Then the second multiplication factor is 2, which are the numbers outside the bracket. Then finally, then we pick one of the bracket x plus 7. This is it. Therefore, guys, x squared plus 9x plus 14 is equal to x plus 2 into x plus 7. Now, this is the answer to question number 1. Now, guys, let's look at question number 2. Alright, we have example 32. Now, example 32, we are asked to factorize x squared plus 8x minus 20. Guys, what do we do here? The first thing you always do is to multiply the constant with the highest power of x. Then this will multiply this. And when I multiply x squared by minus 20, we are going to have minus 20 x squared. Guys, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to look for the factors of minus 20. Now, this is minus 20. So we are quickly going to look for the factors of minus 20, which are two factors whose product will give us minus 20. Now, guys, understand that for the product of two numbers to give us a negative outcome, one of the factor must be negative. Of course, 20 times 1 would have given us 20, but it is either 20 is negative to give us minus 20 or 20 times minus 1. So here now we have two factors already. For now, don't forget this one. 10 times 2. 10 now. So this can either be minus 10 times 2 or times 10 times what? Minus 2. So in this case now we consider 10 to be negative while 2 is positive. Then in this case 10 is now positive, 2 is now negative. These are all factors of minus 20. Now also we have that 5 times 4 is also 20, but we need negative 20. So it is either 5 is negative or 4 is negative. So I have this as negative. Now, guys, these are the basic factors of minus 20. Now, we have about 6 factors of minus 20 here. But understand that only one out of this factor will be fit for this question. And which one will be fit? The one whose sum will give us plus 8. Understand that at the middle, we have plus 8. So the one that controls the factor to pick among all these factors of minus 20 is the one whose sum gives us the middle 10. Are we there? Yes. Now, how do we do now? The next thing we are quickly going to do is to save this plus 20. Now, minus 20 plus 1, guys, we are going to have minus 19. Now, 20 plus minus 1, we are going to have positive 19. Then minus 10 plus 2, guys, we are going to have minus 8. Then 10 plus minus 2, this will give us plus 8. Then minus 5 plus 4, this will give us minus 1. And 5 plus minus 4, this will give us plus 1. See, guys, these are the outcome of the summation of the two factors. Are you there? But now that we have gotten the summation of the two factors, we now look out for the option that gave us the middle 10. And the one that gave us the middle 10 now is positive 10 and negative 2. That shows that this will be what? 10x minus 2x. And this will still give us 8. Hope this is clear, guys. Then we are going to replace plus 8x with this 10. We have x squared plus 10x. Or anyone can come and you can say to take 2 first. You can say minus 2x plus 10x, then also minus 20. Anyone can come first, provided that you do not change their sign. 2 is negative, while 10 is positive. Arrange them that way. So whether you take plus 10 first or minus 2 later, you will have the same. We will now consider the first two terms and see what is common, and also consider the last two terms and see what is common. Now, between the first two terms, the only thing that is common there, guys, is x. Then you open a bracket. Now, x squared divided by x, we have x. Now, minus 2x divided by x, we have minus 2 left. Then plus. Because of this plus sign we have there, put down this plus. Now, between 10x and 20, understand that 10x, this is 10x, and this is 20, so s is not common. Now, let's check whether 10 or anything is common between 10 and 20. Of course, 20 is divisible by 10. That means 10 is a factor of 20. 10 is common. Then we'll put down 10. Now, guys, you don't need to stress yourself with much division. Once you are able to get the factors here, just repeat the first bracket. You are going to have the same thing as the first bracket. Right? So your interest here in this second term is for you to be able to get the common factor. Once you are able to get the common factor or the common term, repeat the first bracket. But let's see how the bracket will look like. So all I need to do now is to divide 10x divided by 10, s to the left. Then minus 20 divided by 10, I have minus 2. It's as simple as this. Now the next thing we are quickly going to do, having arrived at this point, is to what? Collate the multiplication factors, which are the terms outside the bracket. And now the first term outside the bracket is x, put down x. Then the next term outside the bracket is plus 10. Then plus 10. This will form the first bracket. Then the next is to pick one of the equal brackets, which is x minus 2. Therefore, guys, x squared minus plus 8x minus 20 is equal to x plus 10 and x minus 2. This is the answer to this very question. Question 33, we have x squared minus 18n plus 32. This is what we have, guys. All we need to do is to multiply the constant by the highest power of the alphabetical letter. Now, in this case, the alphabetical letter here is n, and we have n squared and n. So we are going to multiply n squared by plus 30. Now, understand that 32, and this will have given us 32 n squared, which is positive. So now we are quickly going to look at for the product of 32, positive 32. What are the two products of positive 32, guys? First is 32 times 1. Now understand that this is positive. So for the product of two numbers to be positive, both signs must be equal. It is either the two factors are positive, positive, or the two factors are negative, negative. Do you get that? Yes. For the product of two factors to be positive, the two factors will either be positive, positive, or negative, negative. That means minus 32 times minus 1 will also give me plus 32. This is got it. Then the next is 16 times 2. And we can also have this as minus 16 times minus 2. Then we have 8 times 4. We also have minus 8 times minus 4. Now, guys, these are the factors of positive 32. Now, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to add up these factors. Just add them up and see the one that will give you the middle term. It's as simple as this. So, which one will give us the middle term? This plus this will have given us 33. This plus this will have given us minus 33. This plus this guy will give us 18. This will give us minus 18. And this will have given us 12. This will give us minus 12. So, when we sum up these terms together, this will be the resulting outcome. Of course, all of these values are very, very correct. But not all these factors here are suitable for this particular question. This is the challenge. So if you understand it this way, you are good to go. So not all the factors of 32 can go with this question. The only one that is fit for this question now is the one that gives us minus 18. Which factors give us minus 18? Minus 16, minus 2. It's as simple as that. So we are going to replace minus 18n by minus 16n and minus 2n. It's as simple as this, guys. So we are going to have this as n squared minus 16n minus 2n plus 32. Don't forget, minus 16 minus 2 will give us back minus 18. It's as simple as this. Now let's go. Now guys, at this point, all we just need to do here is to what? Consider the first two terms and also the last two terms. Now between the first two terms, what is common is n. Now guys, get it clear. When you are dealing with a quadratic expression where the coefficient of the highest degree is 1, the first two terms, the only thing that is common there is the letter. Nothing else. It's just the letter. Just the letter. So now we have n. So if you look at case 1, case 2 we have solved, it's always the letter that is common. So n is common. Now when we divide n squared by n, we have n. When we divide minus 16 n by n cancel n, we are left with what? Minus 16. It's as simple as this. Then this next sign here is minus. When we check between 2n and 32, n is not common. Now let's check if 32 is divisible by 2. Of course, 32 is divisible by 2. That means 2 is a common factor between 2 and 32. Therefore, 2 is minus 2 is common. All we just need to do is to repeat the first bracket like I do explained before. Do here guys is to quickly collate the multiplication factors. Guys, what are the multiplication factors? The multiplication factors here are the terms outside the bracket, the ones that are not inside bracket. And the first term that is outside bracket here is n. So we are going to have n. And the second term outside bracket is minus 2. So you have minus 2 into, pick one of these equal brackets, n minus 16. Guys, therefore, n squared minus 18, n plus 32 is equal to n minus 2 times n minus 16. It's as simple as this. This is the answer to question number 33. We have question number 34 on the board. So the first thing we are quickly going to do is to multiply m squared by the constant. And then we will have this as this guy times this guy. So when we multiply m squared times minus 42, we are going to have this as minus 42m squared. Now guys, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to look out for the factors of minus 42. Two factors of minus 42. And like I said before, for the product of two factors to be negative, one of the factors must be negative. It is either the first is negative or the second is negative. So now we will come here and put minus 42 here. Then let's get the factors. Now this is the first column for the first factor and this is the second column for the second factor. So we start with 42 times 1, would have given us 42. But this is positive 42, so this would have been negative for the product of this and this guy to give us minus 42. Or 42 will be positive, while minus 1 is negative. Don't forget, for the product of two factors to give us a negative result, it is either the first is negative, while the second is positive, or the first is positive, while the second is negative. Hope that is clear. Now the next thing we have is we are quickly going to do is to multiply m squared by the constant. And then we will have this as this guy times this guy. So when we multiply m squared times minus 42, we are going to have this as minus 42m squared. Now guys, the next thing we are quickly going to do is to look out for the factors of minus 42. Two factors of minus 42. And like I said before, for the product of two factors to be negative, one of the factors must be negative. It is either the first is negative or the second is negative. So now we will come here and put minus 42 here. Then let's get the factors. Now this is the first column for the first factor and this is the second column for the second factor. So now that we have successfully gotten the product of 42 minus 42, the next thing is to what? Get the middle term, which happens to be what? Minus 1. So the coefficient of the middle term is minus 1. So we need to sum up these terms now and see the one that will give us minus 1. The one that gives us minus 1 is the one we are going to go with. Of course, we have 6 factors here, but 5 here are not suitable for this. Only 1 is suitable. So let's check that out. All we need to do is to add this to this guy. We are going to have this as minus 41. When we add this, we are going to have this as positive plus 41. Then this guy, we are going to have this as minus 19. We are going to have this as plus 19. We are going to have this as minus 1. We are going to have this as plus 1. Just add them all together. Now, if this is taken, therefore, the next thing we quickly check is what? We check this middle term. I will say it's minus 1. So we check all these factors. Now, the one that gives us minus 1 is minus 7 plus 6. And replace this middle term by those two factors. So I'm going to have m squared minus 7m plus 6m minus 42, guys. This is simple as minus 7m plus 6m, guys, will still give us back this minus 1m. Alright? All we just did here is to ensure that this function or expression appears in 4 different places so that we can group them 2 by 2. So now we come here and group this in 2 terms, group this in 2 terms. Now between the first and the second term, what is common here is m. So put that in, open the bracket up. M squared divided by m. We have m minus 7m divided by what? M. We are going to have 7. M cancel m. Then this plus here, put it down. Now the last two terms, we have 6m and minus 42. Of course, m is not common. It is only the first term here that we have m. The last term doesn't have m, so that means m is not common. Then the next is to check whether 6 is common. Of course, 42 is divisible by 6. That is to say, 6 is a factor of 42. Hence, 6 is common. Then put down 6. Therefore, all you need to do now, guys, is to quickly repeat what you have in the first bracket. Like I said earlier, once you are sure that you have been able to get the accurate factor, common factor between the last two terms, repeat the first bracket that you have. Because the first bracket must be equal to the second bracket. Are we taking out? This is plus 6m over 6, common factor. 6 cancel 6, we have m. Then the last is what? 42 divided by 6, and this will give us minus 7. That's exactly what we have here. But for the sake of meeting up with exam period, you must ensure that you use some certain shortcut, and that's exactly why we are giving you this condition. Now, finally, we'll now calculate what the multiplication factors, which happens to the numbers, which happens to be the terms outside the bracket. And the first term here that is outside the bracket is m. So we put that here. Then the next term that is outside bracket is plus 6. Put that plus 6. Close bracket. Then pick one of the equal brackets. Therefore, guys, m squared minus m minus 42 is equal to m plus 6 into m minus 7. This is it, guys. It's as simple as this. Now, very quickly, let's look at question number 35. Y squared minus 5y plus 6. Plus 6. Now what do? The first thing we do is to multiply the highest part of y with the constant, which is the term without y or without the alphabetical letter. Are we there? So this is plus 6. Plus 6 times 1, we are going to have plus 6y squared. So next is to find 2 factors of plus 6. So that for the product of 2 factors to be 6, positive. Don't forget, for the product of 2 factors to be positive, it is either both factors are positive, positive, or both factors are negative, negative. This is the graph to which the product of 2 factors will give us a positive result. That's the one that will turn out to be what? Minus 5. Then we are going to go with that. This will give us 7. This will give us minus 7. This will give us 5. This will give us minus 5. Add them all together. You can use your calculator, right? So now when we look at this now, this is plus 7, which is 0 because it does not match with this. This is also 0 minus 7. It doesn't match with this. This is plus 5. 0. It doesn't match with this. So the only one that matches with what we have there is minus 5. Then we are going to go with minus 3y and minus 2y. All you just need to do is to add y to this, add y to this. Now when we come here, put out the first term and replace the middle term by these 2 factors. So we are going to have 3y minus 2y, then plus 6. That's it. Now guys, minus 3 minus 2 will give us back minus 5. That shows we are good to go. Then the next thing we do is to consider the first 2 terms and also consider the last 2 terms. See what is common. So between the first 2 terms, what is common is the alphabetical letter y. Then open bracket, y squared divided by y, we are going to have y. Then minus 3y divided by y, we are going to have 3. Y cancel y. Then this middle sign here is minus. Now this is 2y, this is 6. Y is not common, right? Then, but what is common now is 2 because 6 is divisible by 2. Hence, 2 is a factor of 6. Then we put down 2. Now that we have successfully gotten the factor between 2y and 6, then we can repeat the first bracket, guys, without wasting much of our time. Because we know even when we divide it, we are still going to get the first bracket. Because at this point, all we just need to do is to collate the multiplication factors, which are the terms outside the bracket. Okay, and the first term outside the bracket now that is not inside bracket here is y. The next term here is minus 2. Then take it as one bracket. Then open another bracket, pick one of the equal bracket. This is it. Therefore, y squared minus 5y plus 6 is equal to y minus 2 multiplied by y minus 3. Guys, this is the answer to this very question. So guys, we are done with the first stage of factorization of quadratic expression where the coefficient of the leading degree is 1. Now we are going to quickly head on to the more difficult aspect where the coefficient A is more than 1, which can be 3, can be 4, it can be 5, it can be 6, can be any number. Alright, this is what we are going to be looking at now. So you can quickly check the description below so you can find the link to that next. If you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to this YouTube channel and turn on the post notification bell so that anytime we release mind-blowing content, guys, you will be notified, and ensure that you like this current video. Don't forget to like every video that you watch. It matters to us, it matters to you. Alright, so please don't forget. See you guys in the next video. Thanks.